You also mentioned as well, caste is certainly it's in terms of it actually affecting labour economics in terms of legal from a legal standpoint. It's certainly been outlawed since back then. Are there any remnants of that still being felt in the labour market culturally, or has it pretty much essentially just dissipated? It doesn't necessarily affect the labour market or the economy anymore.
That's a very good question. And when I answer it, sadly, I'm not answering from first person experience. So I can only answer from hearsay and a little bit of what I see in the data. In the formal sector, which, by the way, is a very small proportion of the Indian labor market. The formal sector is something like 10, maybe 12%, not much more than that. So in the formal sector,
Right.
caste probably doesn't play a big role. The Indian governments over the years have also tried to reduce the impact of caste by having quite a lot of positive discrimination, etc., to increase the proportion of, to increase diversity as we see it these days. So, especially in the public sector, etc., public sector being a big proportion of what the formal sector in India is, you do see quite a number of castes who work there. Culturally speaking, is it all is it all a melting pot? I'm less sure about that. The thing with caste is it's one of these things. It's embedded in a name. So from a person's surname, you can tell what
Okay.
caste they are. A lot of the really difficult caste rules probably don't exist anymore. So there was a time, for instance, where even in my family, when women went, for instance, into restaurants, first of all, they wouldn't go into restaurants, okay, because the cooking there would not be done by Brahmins. But they wouldn't drink water, for instance. And that was not just about the water being impure, but there's something about water. So the women in particular would be really strict about these rules. I think these days all of that has gone, certainly in the cities. So once you're living in the city, it's
Right.
really, I mean, it's almost impossible to follow these rules. I don't think many people do. What's happening in the villages and the smaller towns, I'm less sure about. It is clearly the case that caste, as I said, the signal of caste is already in the name. So it's very in your face. People may not be openly antagonistic, but they'll still hold. And by the way, this isn't about upper or lower castes. Lower castes are equally sort of proprietorial about their caste identity, as are upper castes. So I don't think, every caste feels very
Okay.
proprietorial about its identity. So I think there will be informal ways in which caste networks might function. Certainly the case that, for instance, there'll be certain housing colonies that are, if they're private, that are only for certain castes. Or if you're an employer, you might prefer to employ people of your caste, but it can never be. It will not be explicitly stated.